Come on. Focus. Focus. There we are. Hi. Welcome to Tea Time, my friends, a place where I muse about my gender transition experience and in the process aim to comfort and inspire others to a greater level of self-awareness. I am Artemis. Today we are enjoying a dark chocolate cocoa raspberry truffle iced tea. As the name implies, there are real cocoa shavings in there as well as dried raspberry. It is, for the most part, caffeine-free and enjoyed iced or hot, depending on the season. It happens to be one of my personal favorites, especially from the Rose and Vine Gift Company. So, I've been musing an awful lot lately on this article that was posted recently by ABC News. The birds are also very upset about this. And as a trans person, I feel like I need to weigh in on this article personally. And the article is talking about how Daniel Radcliffe, of the Harry Potter movies, has a very differing opinion from apparently J.K. Rowling. And he put out an essay in response to this tweet right here. And I'm going to say right up front, just to set the tone for the video, that I agree with J.K. Rowling. I do not agree with Daniel Radcliffe at all. So if you're interested in that particular opinion from somebody within the trans community personally, feel free to listen on. So, again, I agree with J.K. Rowling's tweet, and we're going to talk more about that here in particular detail. But I'd like to say right off the get-go that the kind of clarity and reason that's within that tweet is something that I aim to bring to all the discussions and all the videos here on Tea Time. And I do not at all support the ideas and the agenda of the SJW movement that use feelings instead of facts to make arguments and violently silence those who stand for sanity. So, just going to put that out there. You may want to reference a couple other videos that I have done and that will talk more about the issues within this video, go into much more depth. But this video is just going to talk specifically about that article. The link is in the description below. Goodness. But the few other videos of mine that you might want to check out to kind of expand on this particular, the concepts here in this video. The truth about transgender identity. Does bisexuality invalidate non-binary identities? And gender politics, no one can invalidate your identity. So check those out if you're interested to expand more on those concepts. So for this video, we're going to dive right in to talking about the quotes within the article. The first one being a quote from Radcliffe's essay, so what he wrote in response to J.K. Rowling's tweet. And I quote here, "Transgender women are women. Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on this subject matter than either Joe or I."
That is wrong.
Let me just say that trans anything is not the same as the sex itself. So trans woman is not the same as woman. Trans man, not the same as man. Simply going by the factual definition of what a man and woman or female and male are. And there is absolutely no emotion attached to that whatsoever. It is just the definition so that we can, as J.K. Rowling says, have meaningful discussions that we all agree on the definitions of things. So a trans person is, and always will be, trans because they were not born with the chromosomes or with the external physical features of the sex they are transitioning to. It just is what it is. And if this offends you, you might be an SJW. Or at the very least, deluding yourself, which is only going to hurt you in the end. We have this tendency as humans to ascribe feelings to words. So things like be a man or independent woman, those are loaded with emotion, but they don't actually speak to what the things themselves are. And as a trans person, I would never say or insist that someone should call me a man, because I'm not, and I never will be. I personally came to peace with what I was born with, and I have made some changes to be a little bit more comfortable within my body, but that's as far as it goes. I don't attempt to control other people's version of reality to validate myself. And this is why I term myself a transmasculine person, because it acknowledges the truth. Which brings me to my second point, and that whatever somebody labels me as, even if it's contrary to what I label myself, it does not, in any way, shape, or form, invalidate my identity. Or erase my dignity, for that matter. Like, to think that someone could erase my existence or identity, or dignity for that matter, simply because of the way that they label me, is insanely fragile. This idea that other people can invalidate your experiences or existence gives your most sacred power away, which is your own self-validation. And it leaves you vulnerable to potentially trying to control other people to correct your own hurt, i.e., the entire premise of the SJW movement. Also, on that same note, it's where codependency and narcissism and all those other things that you go to therapy to correct are coming from. Okay, so going back to J.K. Rowling's tweet, she's echoing that we need concrete definitions of things to be able to have meaningful discussions. Simply put, let's all agree that dudes have dicks and women have vaginas. There's no shame or being any less of a person to be labeled as trans anything. It's just the truth. And hardly a footnote here, and I'm honestly disgusted to even comment on it, is the quote from Lee Clatworthy, which is the chairperson to Sparkle, a transgender organization over there in the UK. This person's quote is, "It's important to remember that J.K. Rowling is part of a vocal minority, overwhelmingly white, whose opinions are completely out of step." First of all, what does being white have anything to do with gender politics? That's right, it doesn't. We're talking about gender, not race. Stay on track, Clat. And I guess you can count me in on that vocal minority, and I'm quite happy to be out of step, if it means that I'm not falling in line with the super hella fragile social justice gender notions movement.
Right. It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.